Hola, mi amigo. What is good, team? Hope we're having a banger. Welcome back to the Dargan Podcast for episode 9. In today's episode, we're going to go through how I got cancelled, why I got cancelled. I completely forgot to tell this story in some of the first couple of episodes, and I think it's pretty important to tell. It's an important part of the journey, and it's an important topic to touch on. Cancel culture, why we live in a world of snowflakery, and what we can do to combat that. So first, I think it's important to look at what is cancel culture in the first place. So this is the definition of cancel culture: a way of behaving in society or group, especially on social media, in which it is common to completely reject and stop supporting someone because they have said or done something that offends you. So let's throw it back. September 2022. I just finished working on the gym floor. I maybe had about 4 or 5 clients left to move online. September, I'd finally done that. So I'd finally achieved my goal in the first 12 months of moving online. I'd done that. Okay, so it was great. So the big push was content. So June 22, I started posting videos every day. And I said to myself, I'm going to make sure that this social media group, I'm going to do everything in my power. I'm going to become obsessed with it. So I started posting every single day. And I said, I'm not going to stop for 100 days. And then I'm going to go on for a year. So a big part of the social media for me, that was getting in the blue bin. As you've seen, getting in the blue bin, going to the sea, talking about mindset, talking about my journey, the things that I've overcome, my insights into my world. And some people didn't like that. So September 2022, I get a phone call or an email that I'd been invited to host an event. And I thought, okay, great, unreal. This is my first public speaking event, and it was something which I really wanted to delve into, public speaking, sharing my message to more people. And it was at Ulster University. Bear in mind, I'm someone that had never gone to university. So I went straight from school, top shop, went to flight school, never gone to uni. And I thought, this is unbelievable. I'm actually going to uni to give a talk to university students. How full circle has this come? So the event, I thought it was just supporting somebody else. And I asked, whose event is it? And he said, no, it's your event. And it was called Building Resilience Through Health and Fitness with Daniel Dargan. So the tickets went on sale. It was a free event. It was my first ever event, and it was Men's Mental Health Month. So there was 300 tickets, and they all sold out within 2 days. Boom, 200 tickets gone. And I was so buzzed. I was so excited. I was having people message me, being like, oh my God, I can't wait to go. And I was ecstatic. I really wanted to get my message out there, because for me, it's important. It's so much more than just coaching. It's so much more than just talking in a bin. It's my journey. And, a big part of my mission is so that nobody goes through what I went through, and that they realize what they're capable of. You already know that if you've listened to previous episodes. So that was grand. A week passed, still buzzing. I was getting everything set up. I was doing my slides, I was going over my talk, and I thought, oh my God, I'm going to smash this. It's going to be insane. Mum and Dad are going to be so proud of me. And then 10 days before the event, I get a phone call. Daniel, there's been quite a few complaints made against you. And I thought, complaints? What? What have I done? Maybe back in the day, I was a bit of a ball bag growing up. But what have I done recently? And there's been internal complaints made against you, your content, and your message that you put out there. I said, what complaints? What kind of complaints are we talking about here? And I'll never forget when he said, complaints, that you're conveying a message of toxic masculinity, misogyny, and military-style punishment. What? Military-style punishment? What is going? Military-style punishment? That's like some Navy SEAL hell week. what even is military style punishment? So I was told this over the phone, and they said, listen, don't be worrying, it's just a few people putting in complaints, but it's going to be 100%. So I thought, okay, right, great, but I don't care. You're always going to get that. So fast forward another week. Bear in mind, this is getting maybe 2 weeks out from the event now. 2-3 weeks out. And I get another call. Event's been cancelled. They pulled the plug on the event. Was meant to be speaking my first public speaking gig for 200 people. We're going to be talking about discipline, resilience, mindset, my journey, and again, hopefully a day where we can go and inspire other people to go and get after it and live their best life. That's what I wanted people to take away from that. And I was excited, man. So they called me, they pulled the plug. And I couldn't believe it. I'm sure, as you know, not very often your boy's speechless. I didn't know what to say. And I asked why, and they said, because of the complaints that have been made, there's been more complaints made of the same nature for the same reasons. And I don't know what to tell you, but it's been cancelled. And that was that. So that was through a middleman. I didn't know what to say. But my first reaction was to go into the games room where I'm sitting right now, set that tripod up and start recording. So I actually made a video off the back of it explaining what had gone on, that my event had been cancelled, that my extremist views were the reason why the event wasn't going ahead. Toxic masculinity. And I'm going to tell you what toxic masculinity is. Well, let's look at masculinity first of all. Qualities or attributes regarded as characteristic of men or boys. And definition of toxic masculinity: a set of attitudes and ways of behaving stereotypically associated with or expected of men, regarded as having a negative impact on men and on society as a whole. Wow. So that's what my message was conveying, allegedly. So I had to go on social media, I had to tell people that the event was cancelled. Thankfully, again, thankfully it was a free event, so there was no monetary value lost, there was no monetary investment for people. But I thought, this is embarrassing, man. This is embarrassing. I've told everybody I'm doing this and it's been cancelled. And bear in mind, at the time I'd been posting for, July, August, September, October. Yeah, okay, so like 4 months consistently, 3 or 4 months consistently. My social media had only gone to maybe at 10,000 followers in. I felt embarrassed. I felt outraged, as you would. And what is masculinity? If toxic masculinity is standing up for what you believe in, if toxic masculinity is being the best version of yourself, being resilient, weathering the storm of the curveballs that life throws at you so that you can show up in day-to-day life for your friends, for your family, inspire other people to be the best versions of themselves, to not give up and not give in when life gets difficult, to treat people with respect. If that's what toxic masculinity is, then I will wear that badge with pride. Because hopefully that's what the message emulates, and that's what I want, especially for young men. As a young man, I didn't feel like I had a role model outside of my household that I could look up to. I didn't feel like I had that. And I wanted to make sure that, that 19-year-old Daniel, he gets that role model. And hopefully that's the message that I was conveying. But some people didn't like that. And with their military style punishment, me getting in the bin, me willingly getting in the bin. Sorry, actually, hold up. This is a plot twist. I'm going to let you in an insider secret. Every time I've been getting in the blue bin in the morning, 4:30, there's been somebody with a Glock pointed to my temple saying, bitch, if you don't get in there, you're going down. I'm pulling this trigger, baby. Come on. The blue bin, it teaches people the getting in the ice, getting in the cold. It teaches people resilience through doing things that you don't want to do, but is going to make you feel better afterwards. So what happened? It was uproar. Actually, it was very positive, the response that I got after making that video. I did not name the university. I did not bash any faculty at that, because I wanted to make sure that I kept myself right. I wanted to make sure that I was respectful throughout that as well. Because I feel like there's nothing worse than when somebody somebody just starts tearing other people's names down. I wanted to take the high horse. I wanted to take the high ground. But then I got a call the following day from somebody high up in the university. And they'd been having emails, getting emails and emails and emails from people in uproar about this event being cancelled. I had people message me, showing me screenshots. I never asked anybody to do this, but there was people putting up the email of university saying, complain, make sure that you message or email the university and say how outrageous this actually is. You know, I was actually very grateful for that. I was shocked that people would take the time out of their day to go and do that. So I got a call the next day from somebody in the university, somebody quite high up, and she just wanted to know what is going on here. We're getting so much hate in the DMs, and I never asked for that either to happen, but people were in support of me and they were just outraged. And I said, I want to know exactly what's going on, because I hadn't had I'd had a call from a middleman. I never had a call from the university telling me that it had been cancelled. It was taken off the website, done. That was it. Everybody emailed, gone. So I said, I want to know, I want answers. I want you to go through my Instagram today, and I want you to let me know, and do it on the call, I want you to let me know exactly what videos, exactly what posts have been of a misogynistic, a toxic masculinity, or a military style punishment-esque posts. I want you to let me know which posts they are, because I'm not just going to go down without an answer. And we spoke back and forth, and the lady, she was actually lovely, and she'd said that, you know, there were people internally at the university that had made complaints. And these people were not young. They were older people. They were taking offense to my content and thought I should not represent a face for men's mental health at the university, giving a talk there. And she apologised. She said, you know what, I've gone through, and I see that you're a positive force for good, that what you put out, it's inspiring, you're trying to help people, the message is powerful, and yeah, we would actually like you to come and give a talk, come and deliver a talk, but we needed to be off campus. And I said, absolutely no chance. That's an insult. That's an insult. So the lady was lovely, but there was no chance I was going to do that. So that was that. I said, that's it. Take my cancellation and I will slide on. But you only face resistance upstream. When you're trying to put yourself out there, you're going to face curveballs. You're going to face resistance. And that's okay. So I doubled down. And that's my advice to anybody that is in fear of cancellation. If anybody is in fear of that, if you're putting out a message out there and you know you're not harming people, double down on that. If people are trying to cancel you, double down on that. Because you can drown out the noise by continuing to speak your minds, continuing to speak your message. And that's exactly what I did. And, the world works in crazy ways. A month later, my Instagram took off. I went up to 100,000 followers, went on to 150, 200. And that was in the space of 8 weeks after that happened. So there was a silver lining after all. But why is it that we live in a world where people are offended so easily? Why do we live in such a world where people like to take things personal? People like to take offense. I feel like I used to feel like I was walking on eggshells when I was posting content. I used to fear talking about dieting, like actually hard dieting and getting abs. I used to fear talking about that because I thought people were going to call me out for being extreme. And I have had people call me out for being extreme. But I need you to realize that when you are going to put yourself out there, when you're being vulnerable, you will have people hate on you. But you'll also get people that like you. And that's okay. Because there's nothing worse when you're trying to put out a message that's important to you than being beige. And Ricky Gervais, is it Gervais or Gervais? Who knows? He says, someone everywhere will find everything offensive. Just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right. And it's true. And I feel like a lot of people in that university They probably like the message. But I feel like so many corporations these days, they need to be seen to be woke. They need to be seen. They need to virtue signal. Even if deep down they don't believe it. They don't believe in the message. And I spoke with that lady. And she said that some people have disabilities. And it's not the right message to put out of you getting in a blue bin. That people who are disabled can't train the way you're talking about training. They can't get into the cold water. Okay, so because it's not inclusive to every single person on the earth, we should now never talk about that? How is that fair? In that case, we should stop playing football. We should stop playing rugby. It makes no sense. So off the back of that, things really took off, and I'm so glad that they did. But you will always get people trying to tear you down. And I look back when I was a kid, when I played in football teams, when I was at sports day in school, there was a winner's medal. And I've heard some stories today where some schools don't even have a winner's medal. There's not even a first, second and third prize anymore. There is just a taking part prize. And how is that preparing kids for the real world? How is that preparing people to go out into the corporate world where people progress on merit and not just being there, not just taking part? How is that fair? And I understand that some people have advantages. I get that, but that is real life. That is the world we live in today. And you best believe, when I'm a parent, and I'm going to my kid's sports day when I'm 40, 50, I am smoking them other dads there. I am flaming them. We're leaving them for dead. Because it's important to try your best. It's important to show up when things are difficult. And I feel that we live in such a snowflakey world where, again, as I said last week, people want everything now. People want things to be easy. And if it's difficult, no, you're fine the way you are. You don't need to do that. Why? Why should you not dig deep? When I was depressed, if I had somebody repeatedly tell me, oh no, you're fine the way you are, where's that going to get me? I would still be unwell. I would still not be in a good place, and I wouldn't be talking to you here today. And how people perceive mental health and depression in today's day and age, it's a difficult one. Somebody asked me this question the other day. What's your perception of mental health and depression in today's society? You open a can of worms there. People are of the opinion that depression isn't real. I don't believe that. But I also believe that those terms are used very willingly. They get thrown around an awful lot, and we need to be careful with that. Because we live in an era where people can easily label themselves. We live in a labeling era where people label themselves as stressed or anxious, depressed. And then they blame their shortcomings on that label that they've given themselves. And who you point the finger to, you give the power to. To point the finger at yourself. And we take responsibility. And that's not a burden. That's a liberty. That's something that we should take and run with it. Because that's how we're going to be the best version of ourselves. Not through labeling ourselves and blaming our shortcomings on that. And for me, in today's day and age, somebody that's gone through depression, somebody that's experienced that firsthand, and it nearly cost me my life, I know that back then my life was not in order. And it's important to ask ourselves the question, is it mental health, or are we just finding it difficult? Are we finding life hard? Because where is the rule book that it says life should be easy? And when I was posting my content and people were disagreeing, is military style punishment challenging yourself? Is that what that is? Because I would hate to see a normal life if that's what military style punishment looks like. Is a normal life hitting snooze when you're tired? Is a normal life getting a McDonald's because you don't want to eat healthy? Is a normal life skipping the gym? No, it's not. Because we're built for more than that. We've so much more in the tank. And if that attitude, if that school of thought, that snowflakery school of thought was to compound and spread throughout society, even more rife than it is today, where would that leave us as a society in 20, 30, 40, 50 years' time? And we need to ask ourselves the question, is it depression? Or are we just not looking after ourselves? You know, if you're down, if you're sad and you're not going to the gym, you're not eating well, you're not having your sleep hygiene in check, if you're scrolling an awful lot, if you're consuming excessive amounts of alcohol, are you depressed or are you just sad and not looking after yourself? That's the question which I wish I asked myself earlier. And if somebody is in a position where they have a low mood, where they are sad, where they feel anxious, if you commit to all of those that I've just mentioned for 60 to 90 days and then reassess, I guarantee you will be in a better place. Those things might not completely change your life. From my perspective, they absolutely will, but they're not going to make it worse. And there's a hell of a lot of things out there which will make it worse. We need to compete. Especially as young men, young women, we need to compete. As a young man, it's so important for us to challenge ourselves, to be part of a brotherhood. And that's why I love our community, my clients. That's a brotherhood, a sisterhood of people challenging themselves. And there's no snowflakery in that. I would always say to my clients, excuse my French, but fuck the snooze button. That's not the life that we live. Because we're bad in that. And when I was growing up, when you were growing up, we could have a laugh with each other. We could have the crack and it not be taken to heart. Being wrapped up in cotton wool, that's setting you up for failure. Because you're going to have this expectation that everything is always going to be okay, that you're always going to be a winner. And when you get into the real world, you're going to be met with so much disappointment. And maybe that's why we live in a world where people are experiencing low moods and anxiety. Because they're being wrapped in cotton wool for so long and their perception of what life is like is so skewed. And Andrew Huberman, he has this quote, and he says, the reason to deliberately do hard things is so that when non-self-elected challenges arrive, you can tell yourself, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I know that I can do hard things. Doing hard things is always worthwhile. And I want you to remember, if it's at work, you will have people disagree with you. If it's in your friend group, you will have people disagree with you. But on the other side of that, you will have people that love you. You know, I posted that on my story last week, by the time this comes out, about my opinion on mental health and depression. And people had a pop at it, but that's fine. I don't want to work with those people. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do with snowflakery? In my opinion, we build a fort. We build a fort inside that. And we protect that. And that's exactly what I've done. I've built that small brotherhood of guys that want to go and smash C-dips, that want to train hard, that want to diet when we want to get in shape, that want to push their business, that want to do difficult things and are okay with that. Not people that when things get hard, they just say, oh, no, I don't want to. No, that's not what I want in my life. Because I've been that guy and it's not healthy to be around. And I'm an advocate for free speech. Even if it's hate speech, I'm an advocate for free speech. Because somebody's hate speech, it's going to be subjective. Some people will see that as hate and others won't. And I'm not advocating for hate speech whatsoever. But if you suppress hate speech, then do we even have free will and free speech? I don't believe so. So live and let live. Follow who you want. If you disagree with somebody, unfollow them. I have people that would message me or in my comments and they're like, you've just earned yourself an unfollow. Smelly it ever. This isn't an airport. You don't need to announce your departure. That's fine. But if you're somebody that's grown up and you feel like you don't have that masculine energy, you're a guy and you don't have that masculine energy in your life, that is out there. That is out there. And I was somebody who was searching for that for so long because I don't believe that we have the role models. You know, like when I was growing up, I just don't believe that we had that, you know, and that's why there's been the rise of Jordan Peterson, there's been the rise of David Goggins. People that done difficult things, that done hard things and inspired you to be better. Not people that told you you're okay the way you are. Because who does that help? Who does that help? You know, as a kid, I remember getting benched. I remember playing for a football team and I got benched. And I was not used to it. And I took that badly. But that's a good thing. Because you come back in training, you bust your ass and you get back into the team. As opposed to just leaving. Because it hurt your feelings. So that's the story of how I got cancelled. And I will continue to put out my message there. I will continue to try and inspire people to bridge the gap. I want to bridge the gap between showing your emotions and being resilient. The idea is not to suppress your emotions. We need to dance with those emotions, recognize that they exist, and that's part of being human, but we do that anyway because at the end of the day, motivation is like British weather. It comes and it goes as it pleases. And we should change, I'm not motivated so I'm not going to go, to I can't be arsed and it's not a priority. Because that shifts your perspective from not being in control and not making a conscious choice to choosing to stay in the position where you are, to choosing low body confidence, to choosing low energy, to choose a lesser quality of life. So let's take a stand to snowflakery. Let's inspire. Let's show people that it's fine to be emotional, but it doesn't mean that defines you. If we don't feel like going, we do it anyway. If we feel stressed or anxious, we do it anyway. The idea where this starts to get cloudy is because people have an issue with saying man up. I don't feel like there's an issue with that whatsoever. My dad used to say that to me when I was a kid. Great. And why is that wrong today? If we're talking about something very serious and someone says man up, there's maybe a different way to approach it. But I believe that sometimes we have to accept that life is difficult and push past that anyway. And being a snowflake, that's just becoming a victim of your emotions, a feather in the wind. And we are not a feather in the wind. You are the captain of your ship. And no matter how stormy that sea gets, you're going to sail that bad boy through the storm and out the other side. So, thank you for cancelling me. Thank you. And that was that was a silver lining. A year later, I done a talk in front of 220 people in Belfast. And I spoke about resilience. I spoke about becoming the best version of you. And it came full circle. So I don't want you to suppress who you are for fear of looking uncool. I don't want you to suppress who you are because society says otherwise, that's not conforming. So be yourself. That's the only thing that makes you you. Your personality and who you are. So, chat shit, get banged. We stay on top, baby. And I'm excited to see where the next cancellation comes. I'm excited to see where that comes from. And on that note, I will love you and leave you. We're going to keep it short today. But I just wanted to tell you of that story. And how we came through the other side of that. We're uncancelable. Big love. And as a wise man once said,